p.m. I would like to ask, are we in compliance with all laws of the city? I'd like to have roll call taken.
Okay. We have Chair Brogan.
Here.
And we have Vice Chair
Nowak.
Nowak.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Diener.
Here.
Commissioner Shesick.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Schneider.
Here.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Present.
Commissioner Michaels. Excuse.
I believe maybe showing up a little bit later
Okay,
for the
thank
meeting's
you.
over.
Commissioner Abelman.
Here.
Commissioner Tremble.
Here.
Commissioner Tupas.
Here.
Commissioner Weinstein.
Here.
And Commissioner Carper.
Here.
Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody for attending. It's a great turnout. It shows that we have a commission that's going to be active. I would like to also, on the front end, wish everybody happy holidays and have a prosperous new year, as well as hopefully as creative and successful to all. I'd like to read the following statement. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak now or at the end of the meeting? Hearing none, I'd like to move on. Number 4, for possible action, approve the final minutes by reference to the meeting in the Main Street Ad Hoc Subcommittee, the Arts Commission of October 16th, and the regular meeting of the Arts Commission of November 20th. Does the chairman of the subcommittee of the Main Street have anything to add on the minutes?
No, I have one question, but did we meet at 2:30 or 3 that day? I'm trying to remember what time we met.
16.
No,
Usually 2:30.
The subcommittees usually meet at 2:30.
2:30?
Yes.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to get in my head. So that was the only thing that I was curious about.
Do you have minutes from the October 20th meeting? Besides email, I think they were emailed.
Yeah, I didn't have any sent.
Okay, these were sent out. So you don't have a copy of the October 16th?
No, I have the 16th, but not the 20th.
We don't, those have not been completed yet
Okay.
from the clerk's office.
So basically, having read that agenda item, we will only concern ourselves with the Main Street Subcommittee. Anybody else have, thank you for your notice of that. Anybody else have any further comment or input? If none, I would like to hear a motion for passage of the subcommittee meeting of the 16th. Okay, motion has been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion is approved. I'd like to move on, and I'll then also point out for the record that we will be expecting the November 20th minutes at the next scheduled meeting. Number 5 is a report by the chairman, which is myself. I always forget this on the back end, but just remind you that you can have your parking validated here at the clerk's office, so remind yourselves to do that as you leave. Also, I'd just like to bring to attention, I would be asking all the commission members if they have events they would like to draw to the commission's attention. I'd like to point out a couple things. Some of these were in the last month's meeting because they started several months ago, but again, keep in mind on the first floor that we have sculptures that are available by Sam Davis called Unnatural Selection, so if you haven't browsed through that collection, please do so. Also at the 5th Street School between November 20th and February 21st, with a reception in February, is on our Chinese New Year, the Year of the Goat. And then also we have Charleston Heights Center is having a mid-century Las Vegas stage, the acts that build the entertainment capital of the world. That's going to be scheduled, it has been, from December 4th through February 14th. Also, bring to your attention that we're going to have a Kwanzaa event, Performing Arts, on December 27th, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's free and open to the public, and Diane would have more information on that. Also, Las Vegas Wind Quintet, January 10th at Charleston Heights, and also at Charleston Heights on January 17th is Celebration of the Asian Arts and Culture. Those require tickets on that one. Does any other commissioner have events or events happening around the city that I'd like to bring to the commission's attention? Yes, please.
Yes, also at the West Las Vegas Art Center, they're showing the paintings of Vanessa Stewart. Her show will be from December 6th to January 24th. The Art Center is open from Wednesday to Friday at 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday on 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, any other events? Yes.
At the Barrack Museum on UNLV's campus through the month of January, it's already started. There's an exhibit, the AIA reflecting and projecting 20 years of design excellence in architecture throughout Southern Nevada. There's a high school design awards competition, which for years has always targeted high schools that have drafting programs, but it's expanding this year to appeal to students in art classes that may not have access to CAD drafting software. So inviting high school students to give conceptual design proposals for architectural works.
Very good.
Information on that can be found at AIA Las Vegas website.
Anybody else?
There's an event that looks really interesting tonight at the Wesley Gallery. It's images from Mark Basel, and I thought that was really cool that he's bringing those back. So just to let you know. Also, First Friday is continuing to do a gorilla cage each month within its structure, and some of the artists that are showing up for those cages are really pretty extraordinary, and they're really worth looking at and spending time looking at them. So a couple of things. And also, we have a new coffee shop. And if you haven't visited, I really encourage you to visit Makers and Finders. I think that actually Laura Henkel did a talk on Monday about Enigma Cafe and the importance of our coffee shops in this neighborhood. And it's really serving as a community connector, and I highly encourage you to attend an event with another person there. So,
Very good. Anybody else have anything to add?
I just want to give, since we're talking about great businesses, there's a great little bookstore called Writer's Block that's now open downtown, and it's really wonderful. Just a couple 2 cents.
Commissioner Jerry, do you have anything to add?
Well, there's always something out here. At the Donna Bean Gallery, there's an exhibition called Skull, which is a third biennial exhibition curated by Chris Bowder. There's 44 artists that deal with the skull in some form or another. There will be a reception for this, but not until January 30th, so you have plenty of time to plan. But in the meantime, it's up right now. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to issue number 6, which is a report from our Staff Office of Cultural Affairs. Diane, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of comments. The art bench submittals were due today at 1:30, and at 1:30 the number logged in was 29, so there are 29 firms or individual artists who've submitted for this project, and there'll be a blind jury. Just wanted to remind you. An artist, I just got the list, and I'm not sure where all the artists are from, but I know there are some local artists as well as national artists, so it looks like a really good mix. Architectural photography project is moving along. The artists have submitted images for 10 of the buildings, and per contract they will be photographing 25, so they're moving along pretty well. And then those images will be culled down, and we will have other members of the staff especially looking over the images. But that will be completed in March. Charleston Heights Art Center project, the artist is now under contract. She's going to be meeting with staff at the center early January, which is one of the best practices we have, is that the artists, to be better informed in coming up with their concept, is to work with the staff at the building and so forth, and then come up with concepts. The final concept will be coming here for your approval. First Street Art Trail, we have a new Windows on First exhibition up. by UNLV students. The title of it is Lumino. I encourage you to walk around the side of the building onto First Street and take a look at it. They always do a wonderful job. Also wanted to let you know that the whole First Street Art Trail has won a MUDA Award, Mayor's Urban Design Award, and that ceremony is going to be held at a City Council meeting on January 7th, and you're all invited to attend. The ceremony starts at 9 o'clock in the City Council chambers, and they ask that you arrive no later than 8:45 to be seated. So that's good news for the First Street Art Trail that they've won this award. And we have some new developments in the Art Education Initiative, and I'll ask Nancy to discuss that.
Yes, we've now moved forward with Mark Landberg as the artist, working with Valley High School teacher Stephanie Bray, and all their art teachers. Actually, there's going to be 3 classes. And just really quickly, I'll run through it. The name of the project that they chose was Valhalla, and that has something to do with Valley High School. First, they're going to research the project name. Each student forms a personal meaning with the term. This takes place through the holidays. They're working on that now. What is public art? That will be presented in 3 different classrooms after the holidays. Then they'll bring in some guest speakers. I'm scheduled to be one of them, just to give a broad overview of the city and how the public art has evolved in the city of Las Vegas for the last 23 years. Diane will be giving an overview. Oh, by the way, Diane, you're going to give an overview.
I am?
Yeah, of the PAN network, the Public Art Network that we're a part of. That's the national network for all the cities that do public art. And as you know, they have the year-end in review, which is a great little synopsis of the best public art going on across the country. So we thought it would be great to show these kids what other cities are doing, what other places are doing. Think big, right? Think outside the box. And then one of the engineers, Jimmy Van Glass, who works in our public works, has offered to go and be a speaker as well to talk to these kids about how public art takes place in the public right-of-way. That is not just in your studio, that you're dealing with things like safety and all the things that go into making public art difficult, but also very worthwhile. So we'll be speaking on all those topics. The artist, Mark Brandwig, will be talking about his own experience, and he'll also be talking to them about what public art is. Then we, and these will be to all 3 classes. There's 3 instructors. It's not just Stephanie's class, which we thought were great. They'll do it in a lecture hall. Then they will just keep working, and they will all create their own ideas, either 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, of a Valhalla project. Then ultimately, Valhalla Winter Art Exhibit. They will take all of these and put them in a winter art exhibit at the Valley High School Library, which will be open to the public. This is open to the public, and students and public are invited to look for their favorite artwork. That'll take place in January and February.
This January?
February, yes. Well, actually, that takes place February 19th through the 20th. It's only going to be up for like 2 or 3 days there. But they're fast. Now they're really fast.
Quick.
Yeah, they're thinking about it during the holidays. They're already on
Okay.
the Valhalla, right? They're doing their research, their own research. Yeah, exactly. It just took us a while to get it going because it's the first time through, but now we're cooking. So then the next would be the selection process. Will be to narrow down top favorite works of art for the votes and discuss viability of the designs and ideas chosen. We've asked that an arts commissioner be added to the selection panel. I'm still waiting for that, just pray on that. Because the selection panel is made up of high school officials, teachers, some of their peers, and I thought it would be really good to have an arts commissioner on that panel. Then installation will be the end of March, April, and beginning of May, and it'll be in this little horseshoe area that they have kind of in the art wing. It'll be either on a wall or a sculpture piece in the art, or whatever it turns out to be, will be in that area. And then the public unveiling and celebration will be the end of May before school gets out. So that's it in a nutshell. Now we'll just get updates on it. Thanks, Diane.
That's
Diane,
it.
do you have anything?
That's
Okay.
it, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of the staff?
Excuse me. Diane, can we talk a little more about the selection, since the submissions have happened today at 1:30, about the process and where we go from here, please?
Right. I've not heard back from everyone who has been invited to serve on the panel, the selection panel.
You're talking about Main Street now.
I'm sorry.
That's
The art
right.
bench?
Just clarifying.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, for the art bench, but we hope to meet within the first 2 weeks of January, depending on people's schedules. And you'll be at the event, at the panel itself. The panelists will be receiving packets, but not knowing who the artists are. So it's truly will be a blind jury. You'll see the images for these 29 artists, and then, you know, this will be similar to the other process that we followed for panels. We'll take the 29 and hopefully cut that in half after the first round, and then there'll be a lot of discussion about what we like or don't like about these artists, how suitable they are for the project, and so forth. And then we'll have 2 rounds. If we need to, we'll have 3 rounds, and then come up with a first, second, and third place artist. And then I will check all the references that have been submitted for the first place artist, make sure that this artist works on time, works on budget, works with community well, and so forth. And then we go through the contracting process through purchasing and contracts. They will have to furnish, and this process can take a little while, just depends on how experienced the artist is and how up to date they are with all their insurances. Hopefully that won't take very long, because this artist does have a timeline that they do need to follow with the Public Works Department. And then the artist will begin phase 1, which is 15 benches. He or she will have at least 5 designs, and then they will have to fabricate and deliver those benches by the end of this summer 2015. And when the city is done with all the work that needs to be done on the street, then those benches will be installed. And then that artist is hopefully will move on to phase 2, which will be 35 benches. So that's the process as outlined right now.
Excuse me. So how long do you want to get or have the decision-making process? How quickly can that be done? Do you think that's a month, 2 months? I mean, so we need it by the end of the summer. We need to have the benches done by the end of the summer.
Correct.
How long do you think the selection process will take?
We should know that day. We will meet in early January. You'll see all the submittal materials, which is all of their past work. They have up to 12 images that they can submit of past work, their resumes, and they have to submit their reference sheet, of course. They have to explain the images, what their part was in the project, if they were the lead artist, what their budget was, if this project was realized or if it's just photoshopped, where it's located, and so forth. So we will know by the end of that day who the first place artist is. Now, if we get to the point where you simply can't decide, you know, you have 4 artists and you really are not sure who should be the first or second, maybe you have 5 artists, we can go to a short list process. We can give these artists an honorarium to create a proposal and have them come back to the same panel and present their proposal, and then you have a better idea of what their thought process is.
So I'll just do one more and I'll be done. So then the longest process is looking at their resume and what they have done, how much public experience they have. Okay. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
How far in advance will the panel receive the visuals?
Usually they don't receive them in advance. I mean,
So they have to make a decision that day?
they make the decision that day.
Is there anything that can be changed on that?
It's
very hasty.
It's worked out fairly well, because the primary thought is based on what they've done and the images of their past work. And they'll be, you know, just knowing some of these artists who submitted, there are some artists who are only 2-dimensional artists. You're not going to have, you're going to see exactly what's been submitted. And there are artists who submitted their qualifications who have had no sculptural background and probably are not a good fit for the project. There are cities where they go through the artist list and they actually call out artists who they feel don't meet that. So we'll try it. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, but if it is, then we can shortlist and bring back these artists and they can give a proposal.
And Diane, if I could just follow up on you said, I went through and did this process for the Brush Street Community Center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as daunting as it sounds. You get enough information, I think, to make an educated decision that day, because A lot of the artists will submit wonderful works of art that aren't the appropriate medium for the project that you're asking them to create for. So they may be a great painter but have no 3D experience, and that's very clear from the selection that they've provided you. Or there's others that have, you know, amazing talent, but maybe you're looking at the style of their art and it might not be appropriate for the location of where you're trying to put it. So it really does weed itself out very quickly, from looking at the resumes and the imaging.
Since we're looking at architectural styles, and if we get a couple of applicants that have put in their works, is there a chance that if there's like one or two that the selection committee can say in the second phase, oh, we'd like to try some of this person's art also, versus having them all kind of?
We can certainly visit that. One of the thoughts, I think, one thought was, and this is one of the things Public Works also expressed, was they like the idea of having one artist do all 50 benches, although that artist is going to create, there will be a lot of differentiation in the bench. But they wanted to have one artist work through the entire project for some type of continuity. But we can certainly revisit that. Yeah, if there are other strong artists and we think that they've done a great job, then we can also do that. My sense is that some of these artists applied because they felt they would be getting the entire project.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we have 29 people that applied.
Yeah.
I think that's the positiveness of it all.
And I think too, when you see what these 29, who they are, and what their resumes are, and what they've done, that'll help direct you as well. There may be more than one that would work well together. You know, the designs might work together, so.
Diane, how many locals applied?
I don't know. I've got the list, but there were no phone numbers or whatever associated with the names. So at this point, I don't know how many are local and how many are national. Some of the names I recognize as local artists, so but I don't have a ratio at this point.
But it'll be blind jury, correct?
Yeah.
So you'll be building one that will know the local from the non-local?
Right.
Any other questions? Very good. Continue to keep us informed. I'd like to move on to number 7. The Director of Office of Cultural Affairs has a report on Bloomberg Public Art Challenge.
Yes, and many of you may be aware of this, some of you may not be. Mayor Bloomberg does a lot of philanthropy. They have a philanthropic trust that does a lot of stuff for art. Obviously, he was the mayor of New York, and they really get art, especially public art. So Bloomberg Philanthropy sent a letter to Mayor Carolyn Goodman, inviting her to participate in the Bloomberg Philanthropies Public Art Challenge. Here's the letter here. This occurred very quickly, and right along the time that this letter was received by the mayor's office and then filtered down to me, right about the same time I got contacted by several people in the community, because only each city can only have one grant submittal. The criteria is it has to be a city that has over 30,000 people in it. It is for temporary public art, and it is $1 million. And there are 3 grants, 3 $1 million grants going to be allocated nationwide. So this letter went out to everybody in the nation. And so most cities are applying, which kind of started a little frenzy. And so when we got approached, and I believe she got approached by some people, I got approached by some people, and it became clear that we had to have one submittal from the city. You can't have more than one. And some of the people that approached us, their projects were not really in the city. You could say they were of the region, but they were not really in the city. The mayor is very interested in the city, and particularly interested, and as is the whole council and mayor of downtown projects. So Diane and I met with her, and we had a long discussion, and we wound up submitting, and that's what I'm going to tell you guys now. We wound up submitting a project for Boulder Plaza. We had to do a very quick turnaround, and we call the project the Living Room. And it will be, and I'll just read you like the first paragraph here. We'll activate the downtown urban core plaza in the heart of the arts district, making the argument for art's place in the urban terrain where art functions as environmental activism, civic training, education, and a softener of the hardscape, a creative laboratory for positive social change. Through this process, we will examine the power of art to change the way we live, how we intermingle with one another and our physical landscapes. Urban agriculture through art fosters community and invites collective ownership of public space. So this project basically is aiming to transform Boulder Plaza, and many of you are very familiar with Boulder Plaza. It was originally built through SNPLMA money, that's Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act money. And that was meant to be a sculpture garden for a piece of sculpture called Agam, by an artist Agam, that really never materialized. That was going to be a nonprofit that was raising money for that, and it never materialized. I think it was a $4 million project. So now we have the plaza, and we have this wonderful gate, because when they decided to do that project, it needed to be gated. What do we do with this? And we've tried to activate the plaza. We don't have budget money to do a lot of projects there. So this project came along. We've asked Amy Fincham, and we've gone to an artist by the name of Nicole Kistler, and Diane can tell you even more about Nicole, who's very well known in the public art arena nationwide for doing agricultural garden type projects. She came up with this very well-known project called Agriculture in the city of Portland, and she's a really terrific lady. So Amy and Nicole have paired up, partnered with us, and come up with this project. Ultimately, at the end of the year, or at the end of this, if we were to get the Bloomberg grant of $1 million, what we would do, it's a 2-year process. The first year, we would have 2 to 3 gardening beds and community gardens in Boulder Plaza. And we would couple that with a myriad of public art projects. We work with downtown chief schools and bring them in, and it'd be a big learning part for public art and for community gardening. And basically the idea is to get the community involved, 18B, the businesses, the community, the artists, and everybody as stakeholders in this plaza, to activate the plaza through public art and through agriculture and growing things. Some very innovative ways to do that. The other thing I just kind of wanted to say is we think we hit every single topic in the Bloomberg grant criteria, everything that they were looking for. Remember, it's temporary, and their selection criteria is a lot. The time frame for that is December 15th, application deadline was Monday, we made that. February 15th, the finalists are notified. April 15th, full proposal deadline. May 15th, grants are announced, and then you have 24 months to implement temporary grants, temporary projects, so they would come and go. But we look at the agriculture and the planting as temporary, rotating. But whatever this is, we would like it to continue for forever if it is successful. We'd like to be an ongoing project there. And we also even went further and said, because we had to get some project money toward this. I mean, you have to show that you're coming to the table with some money. And we didn't have much time. So I went to Horry Public Works and asked if we couldn't carve out some SIP money for this. He sat down and reviewed the project and liked it as well, because he and I had long dialogues about Boulder Plaza. And so we're putting in $150,000 in the SIP budget for this project. So even if we don't get the grant, if we do get that money in the budget process, which will come in July of next fiscal, we'll move forward with some facet of this. So we fully intend to move forward. Now the Arts Commission will have a role once we figure out which way we're going. If we have $1 million, it'll be fast, it'll be big, and we'll do a lot of it at once. If we don't, we'll just phase it in little by little. So there are probably questions, and if there are, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you all.
I do have one question about, because it's kind of gone back and forth with the fence.
You're right.
Would the fence remain, or would it, I mean,
The fence would
it's always been
remain, but only because, and that was the question too, that we were prepared to take the fence out. Like that was what we put in the SIP budget to take, it's like $30,000 to take it out. To activate the space day and night and keep it going. But with this project, it does require a fence. Because if people have garden beds in there and they're doing all these projects, it needs to be locked at night. So the fence would stay.
so there wouldn't be somebody maintaining the hours again?
Yeah, it would be just like it is now,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, you have a question?
When you say the turnaround time from receiving the letter to writing the grant was very quick, what is very quick?
But we had about maybe 2 weeks to put
Yeah,
our
about
stuff
2 weeks.
together. When the mayor she got the letter in October, so.
And it was, and she didn't get it to you until 2 weeks ago?
Maybe 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago at the most.
Just very quick to apply for something there's so much you can do with $1 million.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how can we know about those things in advance in the future? Is that possible? Is it something that happens regularly?
Well, the Bloomberg grant happens annually. I don't know if it will or not. Will it? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
It's
okay. If it does, that would be fantastic. I'm sure everybody would be girding their loins for it every year. But there's no way of knowing. So this is a real unusual grant. For the first place, I've never heard of a grant that funds to the tune of $1 million temporary public art.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And it just came out of the blue. And so I would say to you, if we'd had enough time to bring it to the commission, we have to post 2 weeks before the meeting. So there's timeframes we have to meet to legally bring it to this body. If there was time to do that, we would love to do that. But then if we would form a committee to decide what it would be, then the committee would have to post times. In other words, there's a time frame here. Since the mayor was tasked with the review on this, and we had a deadline to move forward with it, we didn't have that kind of time to work it. But if we had, we would have. So, and most of the grants, the NEA grants, the NAC grants, all of those grants are usually annual grants that you know about in advance. There's usually nothing like this out of the blue.
I was notified this week early with the copy of what we were going to do, but it was notified quickly too. So sometimes we just have to rush forward and hope staff puts these things out, especially if it's money, so we take advantage of it. But I agree with you. I think that if we know these are coming, it should come to the commission, you know, if we have that luxury of time. Sounds good. It sounds like the staff has answered the call in a very rapid effort. Does anybody else have any questions?
I just have a question. So moving forward, did you guys have sort of like a wish list of like off-the-shelf proposals you could go to if and when these opportunities arise?
No, we
So you
didn't.
just have to like invent it on the fly.
We did. We absolutely.
That's
Well,
I mean, that's pretty.
For one thing, you know, the thing of it is that the mayor had her own ideas, and we took those, you know, we just took her ideas and we thought, you know, these are really great points that fit here. But she didn't have this thing in front of her to go by. We did, right, and all this thing. So we just took it back and we said, okay, so what is it that we're trying to do? And what's something that we've wanted to deal with for a long time? And also, what is something that not every other city in America is gonna put in for?
Right.
Does sound unusual.
It is unusual.
So, at least a different project.
I also wanted to make one other note moving forward. You know, I'm sure the Kistler, I'm sure she's an expert in agriculture, but like we saw with the paintbrushes, our environment is different. So just something to note if things move forward.
Right.
In other words, we want things to grow.
That can actually grow here, right?
Right.
It works.
Seems obvious, but
Which is another
worth
reason
saying.
why we thought this was perfect, because when people think of Las Vegas, they don't think of agriculture. So we thought that was really great. And they look at these grants, you know, how many grants are they gonna have? They'll be pointing over their eyeballs, will be turning in their heads. Well, hey, Las Vegas in growing and green and working in with the downtown chief schools, which we gave a big plug to. I thought, well, this could have a chance. I mean, both Diane and I, we sat back and we thought, you know what, we might have a shot here. We don't know, but we would very much like to move forward with something like this, even if we don't have that shot, so.
Okay. As long as you keep us informed.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And pardon the joke, if we win this thing $1 million in May, we'll all celebrate with 16-ounce sodas. So. All right, moving on. Number 8, report regarding National Public Art Trends Initiatives. All awards.
Should we take one and pass them down? Okay, Nancy asked me to prepare since last June, could you pass this to that group down there? Since last June, you had an overview of projects from the Public Art Network Year in Review to show you what some of the current, award-winning projects were nationwide. Nancy asked me to talk a little bit about current trends. And it was really tough trying to narrow down what are some of the current trends. Do you have one?
That's good, I'm good.
Okay, we've got more. Do you have one, Candy? Here, let's pass this down.
Oh,
So, there are always new and innovative ways to do monuments, whether they're memorials, whatever. There are always new ways to do, other types of community projects. So there's community-based art projects, there's social justice projects. So what I did is I put together a couple of projects, and I'll show you some also on the screen here in a minute. This was one that was done in Phoenix that won a Public Art Network Year in Review Award this past year. And you can see the impact it had on the neighborhood in the bottom picture and the amount of color that it added to an environment that's very similar to our environment, which is not conducive to a lot of greenery. It's heavily urban. You have a lot of concrete, not a lot of red brick, and so forth. So there's a woman named Ann Morton, who is actually a graphic designer, who got together 300 people who were weavers, quilters, and so forth. And what she did was each one of them had a template to follow in terms of knitting, crocheting, or whatever, a blanket of a certain dimension. So each of them, over a period of quite a while, I think it was at least a year, created that, and then over a weekend they chose a vacant lot downtown. It happened to be near a farmer's market, which always draws a lot of people, and the City of Phoenix Office of Arts and Culture oversaw the project. The total budget was about $15,000, which is amazing. And then they had a map, and they placed these blankets to create one large blanket of a floral design. This was up for the weekend, and when the weekend was over, they took these blankets and they distributed them to the homeless. So it was a way of creating a work of art that was temporary, but definitely satisfied a need in that community. So that's why I picked this one for you all to take a look at. The second one is an article from Public Art Review, which is a journal that's devoted just to public art issues. The first one was a large V in front of a Miami building. I'm not picking that one out because it's particularly innovative, but the one below it, you have an artist originally from Poland who's now based in New York City, who deals a lot with video art. So he recorded stories of veterans, and he had them projected on a statue of Abraham Lincoln. And it created, it was quite an event. A lot of people showed up for that and got to hear the stories of these veterans, some of whom are forgotten, some of them are homeless, and so forth. So it was a compelling social project that I thought might be worth taking a look at. And then we had a couple of others. I think you're familiar with Candy Chang, who did a project at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. It was a Confessions project. Lee, does this stop?
Is it locked? Just have to,
Looks like it shut off. So she created a project in New Orleans, and it was Before I Die, and it was just a series of people writing on an older building, a series of what they would like to accomplish, what they'd like to do.
There it is. Okay.
There we go. Remind me not to do projections again.
Okay, just another.
Okay, so I'm just basically going to scroll down, and you can take a look at some of the images. Here's kind of the before. And she led a group of people through workshops to write down what they would like to do, basically, before they die. And then just left it up. And the community just started coming to the building and writing in their ideas, their thoughts. She left chalk out. And this project was so popular that it's spread to not just other cities in the United States, but also to other countries. You can see they start erasing what other people have, and it was just they finally had to, after every couple of days or so, they had to basically erase it and then have people start all over again because it was so popular.
I saw somewhere where somebody wanted a boat before they died.
Somebody said, I wanna dance
Yeah.
fast.
Okay, and then these are the same project done in different countries.
Yeah.
So,
It's like some of them didn't erase their, whatever they put
Yeah.
there.
and Kazakhstan,
Hmm.
so that's one project and you just go to candychang.com and you can view all of our projects.
Diane?
Yes.
Just to mention, there was one of our employees at Zappos that approached us to do this project, and we start construction in 2 weeks.
Really?
But we've changed it, it won't be before I die, it's gonna be something a little bit more positive.
Before I buy shoes.
Yeah, so that, and it's a little bit more inspirational for the new year.
In my dream shoes, that's right.
$1 million, maybe?
Are you putting it in your premises?
Mhm. Our staff doesn't know, but now they'll know about it. They go back on it. We were just gonna build it, put it in the front, and let them right on it. And it's gonna be public, so anyone can go up to it.
Mhm.
We talked about this for Boulder Plaza, it was one of the ideas, but we just never got to that point. But it's kind of like, this is kind of like similar to the kind of things that we envision happening here with the agriculture stuff.
Okay, and the other, just one final project is by Kara Walker, who you may or may not be familiar with. She's very famous with black cutouts, and most of her work refers to racism. A lot of it dates back to life in the Old South. And this is a project that was organized by a group called Creative Time in New York. And they did this as a temporary project. It was extremely popular, also rather controversial. But I'm showing this because it was such a powerful project. She's such a powerful artist. She won one of the MacArthur Fellowship Genius Grants some time ago. And so I'll just let this speak for itself.
And we've worked with Creative Time. Creative Time does a lot of work in Times Square. We did the Fremont Street canopy. We commissioned artists, and one of the artists was a Creative Time artist that came in with Creative Time, and we did a we have about 5 artists on the canopy that we can show. If people are coming in, they used to be able to put them up and show for us. But when the Americans for the Arts Conference was here and other conferences come in, they go down and see these shows. So Creative Time is a great partner. Kara Walker is probably one of the preeminent artists working in this country today.
there, but it's easy to find online at just creativetime.org under projects. And so just wanted you to see one of the most current trends.
Anybody have any questions of Diane?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment about sort of a general theme here today. Temporariness seems to be a theme in public art right now.
And I think we kind of thought, when we knew that the agenda wasn't gonna be huge, it'd be a good time to see projects and bring them to you guys. Cause we see them and a lot of people don't, and you know what, it's good for everybody here on the commission to kind of see some of these things and experience them, and so that's what we're gonna do from now on, our little corner of, this is what's happening, this is what we're seeing right now, so. We won't do it when we have big agendas, but.
Okay. And I have no problems if any of the commissioners run across projects that look interesting, if they bring them to our attention, we'd be happy to show them to everybody, so feel free to. Anybody have any further comments on this subject?
I think you're right though, Polly, contemporary art is huge. Yeah.
Therefore, I'd like to move on to item number 9, discussion regarding topics for future agenda items by the Art Commission. Comments may be made during this portion of the agenda by individual commissioners, shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited on whether or not such proposed items are within the purvey of the commission, whether such proposed items shall be placed on the future agenda. Does any commissioner have anything that they would like to discuss for the future? I see 2 hands, gentlemen.
I'd like to request an agenda item for next month, Ruzo Logic and his gorilla cages. To give a full presentation with PowerPoint on what he's been doing in the Arts District and all throughout downtown with his portable gorilla cages, large canvases that he's been creating with pallets, recycled pallets.
And he'll be at the First Friday, coming
Yes.
First Friday. So then all the commissioners should perhaps go by and try and see that before the field for.
And they're sitting out there right now on the corner of Artway and Charleston.
Okay.
And he's been putting them all, they've been popping up all over the place.
Okay.
And he operates on 3rd Street in Charleston, just south, and so they're all over his yard too, so.
Okay. And FYI, each one of those large 8-foot by 5-foot, I think, mark cages is $35. He does not make any money off of that. He just, it costs $35 for the pallets and material.
I'm sorry, he's selling?
No.
Oh, I was like,
That's how much it costs them to make.
oh, okay.
So there'll be people like me sponsoring, and I'll
Oh,
give them
okay.
$40 and like, go build one. Go find the artist, you know.
And I think to answer your question, eventually he would like to make a nonprofit out of it so that it could replicate itself,
Okay.
you know, and bring more people in. And so he's got some future ideas which he'll probably present next month that I think are really important to sustaining it. Because it
Seems
really,
like what we did with our burning cube thing a year and a half ago.
Without burning them.
Without burning. Without anybody, yes.
Our sister's on fire.
Yes.
Can I just ask Papa, are you still, we had on our notes that you wanted to talk about the banners, Maryland Parkway in January, do you still want them?
I have to talk to
You
the
let us know.
senator,
Okay.
because of outrageous happening next year, and so I just need to.
That's
work
fine.
with that.
We won't do anything until we hear from you.
Okay.
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 And also remember, if a commissioner has something come up, we can address it, just bring it to my attention or to Diane's if we want to put it on the agenda. Just we need the time and effort to do it in advance. Yes?
so I'm not sure if this is an agenda item or what, but I'm curious, has this commission ever, do they do retreats or something to kind of make sure you're on task and focused and have your vision? Have we ever done something like that?
We used to do them, we used to do them every year. We used to take a whole day and then it became half a day and then it became a couple hours. But
Went to
then
the
as
Canyon
the,
Country Club.
yeah, but
once.
then as the posting and now that we're connected to this equipment, we didn't used to be that way. We don't, it's too hard for the clerk's office to take all of that to like Canyon Gate or something.
However,
Well,
having
good.
said that, we did do the tour
We
of the
did,
city
yeah.
art where we
Right.
brought commissioners. If commissioners would like to see public art, we
And for me, it's more, the inner workings of, you know, the city with the commission and, you know, really making sure that we're really, effective. I know I'm a pretty new commissioner, and so I like to kind of gather that much information and understand at a very deep level. So I think that, you know, coming back from Brave New Boards, which, I really got a lot out of it, thought, I really want to bring this up and see if we could do a retreat. I would love to do a retreat too.
I guess, Bob, I don't know, we've had this discussion, it's a matter of an open meeting law. I mean, a lot of boards, unless, if they're just 501c3s, they don't have those restrictions, so, and, you know, sometimes now they're pretty strict about it. Well, I guess they always were, but I don't know, maybe we were dropping the ball.
If you don't have voting items or voting items before you in consideration, you know, there's a gray area there, I presume. I think the other thing is again, keeping meetings on under 3 people sort of things where you just have general discussions, socially. But, we can look into it, we can look into
I would
it.
appreciate it.
Sure, I mean, I'm all for something like that. We can certainly have portable recorders go with this. So, okay, that's something we'll look into, and we'll, actually I'll get back with you with a, impression of that by the January meeting, if that's possible. Anybody else? Okay, then I would like to move on to the public and citizen participation. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to participate or make any comments about the meeting or things that are on the agenda today? I'm looking, I'm seeing nobody with comments. I would like to therefore, any other further comments from commissioners on any subject? And again, happy holidays to everybody and a happy new year. Therefore, I'd like to see a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
There's a motion has been made, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner Jerry.
Thank you.